So good day, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you, Renee, for putting time aside to, just share your testimony with us. And we just know that the Lord is so evident, and His works are so evident in our testimonies. So we pray that this will um, come and set firm people's feet on the ground and on His faith, and make them to trust him in their deliverance. So Abba, we just want to welcome you today where we're gathering together and just tuning in on Renee's testimony and how you've brought her through her highs and lows, Abba Father, and how you've been faithful in her health to restore to her body healing and restoration. Um, Abba, we just want to thank you for who you are. We want to give you glory, all the glory today, because none of it we can do on our own, but through you it is all possible. So, Abba, may this be a blessed gathering again today. May we just learn so much more about your character through the way that we listen to Renee's testimony today. Abba, and I pray that you will, just touch her lips so that she will speak truth and your truth. Abba, may you give her the words to share and bring to her remembrance everything that you want to share with us today. Abba, I also pray for the connection today. May, may it be protected. Um, and may there be no interruptions, Abba Father, where the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy anything from this message. We pray your covering over it and the blood of Yeshua covering it. In the name of Yeshua, we ask this. Amen. Welcome, Renee, and welcome, everyone. So Renee, you are welcome to just jump right in.
Go again.
Ja, ich hat uns an. Wie
Good, good. We got you. I am very excited about today, and I was very nervous as well. I thought being prepared would make me less so, but I must say, after Michelle's prayer and just being reminded of Abba allowing us to go through the journey so that we can actually feel that we are standing on solid ground. That has made it worthwhile. That has made the preparation and the nervousness and the organization around the kids and everything. It's just made it so worth it, because if even one family were to embrace the principles that he has taught us and be able to live a life with minimal dentistry intervention, that would already be worth it, worth everything that we've shared. I want to welcome you all, and I really want to thank you all for being here, and thank you for watching if you're perhaps watching this at a later stage. Last week, I shared a little bit about our testimony and that which the signal allowed after a tower had been hit by lightning, and Zoom allowed. I believe was the seed that many of you perhaps needed. And I pray that the Lord will allow that fruit to grow into full maturity in your lives, and that you may be able to feel all the more free from the worldly systems. And exactly the wording, I don't know that Michelle, that I'm quoting, I'm paraphrasing what I'm quoting, which is completely inaccurate, I must say. But when you said that standing on solid ground, then I just realized for many years of my life, I was not standing on solid ground. For me, the solid ground was being obedient to the system. And as I mentioned last week, it had a lot to do with my upbringing. It had a lot to do with my mother being a nurse and literally taking care of 6 people her entire life that I was growing up. And in my mind, my mother and the medical industry were very connected. So in my mind, if I was obedient to what the medical industry said I should be doing, I will experience good health. And I will experience, success in raising and, well, having babies and raising them and growing to a ripe old age. And our boat was really rocked when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and through a journey that took several years, discovering that it was actually through the medical industry that I received the disease. It wasn't my own body, destroying its own myelin sheaths. I realized I didn't dive into what multiple sclerosis entails last week. It is scar tissue in your brain, but what happens is the covering around the nerves. Basically, when you look at an electrical cord, it's the same concept. You have the live wire on the inside, and then you have a covering around it so that the live wires do not cross, that they don't connect and form a short circuit. And with multiple sclerosis, and actually there are many other diseases where the myelin sheath is influenced, the myelin sheath, which is the covering, is attacked and it's destroyed to a great degree, and then the nerves connect to each other and they sort of form a short circuit. And having experienced that, I just have so much more compassion for people who are experiencing any form of pain in their bodies, that maybe have some unable to diagnose problems, that have been through so many tests and everything, and you just don't know where to grab hold of because it seems that it is unclear. But so often it happens to be the problem in our mouths. And I hope that after today's talk, you will be able to also see that many of the problems in our organs, far away from our brain, far away from our mouths, actually could be influenced by what is going on here. Of course, in here too, we need to watch our thinking. I always say you shouldn't have stinking thinking. So make sure that what you're thinking, what you're saying is very important. Body, soul, spirit, very important. But I'm going to unpack the purpose and design of our teeth today. And so let's jump in with that. I have limited view on my phone, but if anybody would like to stop or ask a question, perhaps in between my commentary, I'm going to pause and give allowance for that if anything is unclear. As I say, I'm not a natural public speaker, as public as this can be. So if I ramble a little bit, I'm just going to stop myself and just give you opportunity to ask anything if something pops up. Okay, so let's start with the purpose. This is quite fun researching the purpose of our teeth. It's actually so intricate. I asked my boys, I'm homeschooling the three eldest ones, ages 11, 8, and 5. And I asked them, other than chewing, what is the purpose of your teeth? Can you give me one answer to what else your teeth are doing? And it was quite interesting to me, the answers they came up with. Some very valid, some just funny. But first of all, this put it into perspective for me when I went and I researched the digestive system. I hope you guys can get a good view there. Do you see how many organs are in your digestive system? That's a lot. And all of these are influenced by the teeth in your mouth. When I realized that, I just had this moment where I had to retrace my steps, because I have been struggling with absorption and I have struggled with stomach acid issues and liver issues and stuff in my history. And I suddenly realized, but perhaps I didn't do as I should have been doing with my teeth, because we were never taught that way. And I apologize if I'm mentioning things to you that may seem common sense that you may have known about since your childhood. But I didn't know these things. And when I realized them, it was a game changer for us. So first of all, your teeth are part of the starting point of your digestive tract. Between your teeth, your tongue, and your salivary glands, your food is broken down to a state where your body can digest it. So the goal of your teeth is to break down the food, and your tongue is assisting the moving around of the food in your mouth. Now, what we should actually be doing, and I have been hearing this a lot, is we should actually be chewing our food until it becomes a liquid. Because see, when you have food in your mouth, let's take a corn kernel, for instance. If you have that food in your mouth, usually we just chew until it's a size where we can swallow it comfortably. And then your stomach acid is supposed to break that down, and the stomach's mechanism is to sort of squish it. I don't know if wherever you are, you have ever had those hot water bottles, those electric ones that are really just like squishy. But basically, that's what your stomach does. It takes the food once it feels that it's received all the food that you were chewing and you've taken a break, then it closes the hatches, top and bottom, and it starts just squishing it and mixing it with that stomach acid so that it can extract all of the nutrients from that food and break down any proteins. But the more you have chewed, the more surface area there is available for the body to absorb that. No, outside, please, I play outside. Thank you. So if you were to swallow a corn kernel, for instance, if you were to swallow it whole, your body would actually not digest it. It would just absorb what was on the surface, and then it would pass it right through. And many adults don't believe me unless they've been changing infant diapers recently, because we know the oats come out, the rice kernels come out, the corn kernels come out, because they don't chew it yet. And it's very interesting to have experienced this firsthand with raising babies, because you're so much more aware that you should be chewing your food until it basically becomes a liquid. Chewing also activates the salivary enzymes, and it activates the other organs to be producing the bile necessary for the digestion, and it makes sure that there's enzymes and everything available for the digestion. So that's why it's really important for us to have good health in our mouth so that we can have better digestion, because it will influence your whole body. If you're not absorbing the food that you're eating, then it's going to influence your whole body. You're not going to have the building blocks necessary to replace cells, or you're going to have cells that aren't completely formed if you're going to have malabsorption of those nutrients. Okay, so I think that's what I wanted to say about the digestion. The second thing that your teeth are good for is social interaction. We smile. That's a good one. I've never bared my teeth at someone. I guess you could do that too. But we smile, we speak, and we are actually playful with our teeth too. Once again, being a mom with littles, we nibble at their hands and their feet. You know, you play with your teeth too. It's not. It would be such a sadness if that were not available to be used in your social interaction. And we use our teeth as tools. That is the third thing we use our teeth for. And once I started thinking about this, I started realizing how often I actually use my teeth for tools. My mom used to scold me all the time when I wanted to take off a tag, you know, of clothing instead of getting a scissor. And really, it does break your teeth. Don't do that. But when I have tape that I need to tear while I'm wrapping a box, I do it with my teeth. When I have a bag that I want to open and those zigzags just don't want to grip, you know, then I do it with my teeth. When my boys want to take apart their Legos, they do it with their teeth. So teeth are a valuable tool as well. And then the fourth thing, the fourth reason I would say you need to really make teeth a priority is if you have dental loss, if you actually have teeth missing, you will start to experience bone loss in the jawline. And also, you will, there where you experience bone loss, you will start losing muscle. So it will influence your functionality, and it will also influence the way your face is shaped. And that is just an unfortunate reality. It can be mitigated to a certain extent. If you were to experience something like that, there are ways to help build up bone without having the teeth there. But in general, if you're able to just avoid that, it's a good idea to do so. So that is the summary of the purpose of your teeth. Are there any questions so far?
So you mentioned there are ways to build up the bone structure. Would you have some of those just explanations ready?
Yes. The one way that I have found, and I'm sure there could be more, but the one way that I have found is to actually cause weight against that bone. Weight-bearing bones are denser and they actually have better structure than non-weight-bearing bones. So a woman by the name of Tanya Zavasta, whom I have learned a lot from. I hope to share in future chats. I've learned a lot from her actually regarding skincare. She also has a facial bone hammer. And if I were to be in the situation where I'm experiencing bone loss due to having had teeth removed, I would use the facial bone hammer. So basically, you would, it's a sort of like a gentle curved rubber mallet. I don't know if any of you have ever used a mallet at home, but you then knock the area where you want bone to be growing firmer, or just to strengthen it. And that would help to strengthen also the muscle in that area. You're improving the circulation, you're improving the muscle, and you're improving the bone. So just to prevent regression as well as assist further bone buildup. Nutrients are also very important that we're going to discuss next week. But there are nutrients that I didn't even know existed until about 4 years ago, which are essential in building up bone as well as keeping your teeth healthy. So please tune in next week again because I'll be able to unpack that in a lot more depth then.
Okay, maybe I'm just going to share my screen and share some of the pictures of the things that you've talked about, and you can just point out what they are. I'm just opening it up.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that looks about like it. I don't know how firm those ends are. They should not be plastic. They should be silicone or even rubber. But they should not be plastic. If it's small enough, if you can find a tool that's small enough, you could even use it inside the mouth. But I would say outside the mouth, you should be able to have a good effect already if you're unable to find a tool that's specifically small enough. I would think that massage, a sort of a deep tissue massage, could also help, especially if you are actually using essential oils that promote circulation. And on the outside, perhaps using something like cedarwood, which promotes oxygen absorption. Yeah, we could really look at game plan around something like that. Okay. Okay. I see multiple sclerosis. What can I share here?
So that is just a picture to show where the nerves are damaged, in case someone wanted
Yeah.
to see it visually. I do have another one. I'm just struggling with my sharing right now, but I am sharing.
We appreciate you sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is just a closer one that I was able to find. Um, the other one was quite
Yes.
larger, but yeah, this would be
Yeah.
the nerve stem, um, and the covering you were talking about.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and then while that is there, let me open the next thing so long. Sorry. Um, so yeah, you guys are seeing this or in the teeth or not yet?
Tell me multiple sclerosis shots.
Okay, so then let me show this one. Yeah, so this is very blurred, but this would be the organs connected to the teeth, different teeth in your body.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely look and research about it, but they're connected through the nerve systems that come from your teeth to every organ in the body. Um,
Yeah. Thanks for that. I didn't have an image. I do have a link um, that I can also share about that. And I'll discuss it a little bit more in the design component.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to bring it visually for those who are more visual learners
Yeah,
and yeah, visually inclined.
it's important. I'm more an auditive learner, but even so, it still helps when I see something visually to just be able to practically apply that thinking. Um, so yeah, I'm assuming there's no further questions. Then I'll jump into the design component. Um, and this is also so nice to research. I mentioned it before. We homeschool, so it's a big part of that is to be able to go and research all these things and to be able to discuss it with our kids and to just realize how wonderfully we were made. It's amazing. It's wondrous. You cannot fathom what incredible designer Abba is, that he has fashioned us in such a sense. Within the first few weeks after conception, your nervous system starts being formed, and the pathways of your nerves actually travel through the area which will later become your mouth. So the nerves are part of the first things that form. And there are nerves that run through each one of your teeth, even your wisdom teeth, which most of us have removed in our modern day and age. Um, so it's very important to know this. I only heard it the first time in 2019 when I watched the Root Cause documentary, where they discussed the meridians, they call them, and when you see these tooth charts and you read meridians and you see they have a yin and they have a yang, please remember that Abba is the designer and he's the author. Where the enemy has come and he has sown lies between this, and where he has stolen, it doesn't make it untrue just because he's added funny words in between that. It doesn't make it invaluable to us, because this is part of the design. This is not something that is solely spiritual and has developed out of New Age or something like that. So when you go look at something like a dental tooth to organ chart, then you can just filter out the yin and the yang, block it out yourself if you would like. Everything else is usually still relevant. I would check more than one just to make sure that the information that you're receiving is solid. Usually when I do research, I like to confirm something at more than one site, for instance. So first, the nerves develop before around week 5 or 6. The buds start to develop of the teeth, and they are then hidden in the bone of the jaw. And bone and tooth is actually very different. Both of them are comprised of minerals, and I'm going to dive into it a bit later why they are so different. But babies generally are not born with teeth. If you search, you'll probably find some babies that were born with teeth, but it is not the usual, because the whole design of their system, their digestive system and their functioning, and the maternal and infant relationship is based around the baby getting breast milk. And yes, in our more modern day and age, we have unfortunately had situations where we've often had to give formula instead of breast milk, or goat milk instead of breast milk. But the original design was for breast milk. We just live in a fallen world. So I'm just discussing the original design with you. So then once a baby starts being able to digest some foods, they will start to develop teeth. And it's always a very cute process, although it costs moms and dads some sleep and perhaps a couple of extra diapers and some management. The whole process of those teeth erupting is actually very cute. And the babies also, they have a specific pH shift that happens when those teeth erupt to protect the body from having any infection there, to sort of like buffer off any bacterial infection at that stage of the teeth erupting and the bone actually being sort of exposed. Because you see, this bone is sterile. Bone is supposed to be sterile. There is not supposed to be any bacteria or viruses or parasites in there. And then this is a risky stage when there are teeth moving from the bone into the mouth and being exposed. But anyway, then the babies develop teeth. Usually they develop sort of 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top, and then maybe 2 at the top again. My little ones are developing their 3rd tooth on the bottom at the moment. And then this continues through seasons that they will develop a full set of teeth. I think it's 20 teeth that they develop that are milk teeth. Milk teeth are a bit different in their structure to the adult teeth. They seem to also erode a lot easier than the adult teeth. It appears that their enamel is a bit thinner. I wasn't able to get a lot of research on that. I'm not sure if my wording was incorrect, but milk teeth are obviously not permanent. They don't have deep roots, and as I say, they're a little bit thinner than the adult teeth. And as the child grows older, I have a 5-year-old, as I said, you will see that the jaw expands with the face growing, and then the milk teeth start developing gaps because they're just moving farther apart as the child is growing, and then they will start to lose their teeth at a stage. Our 5-year-old is now losing his very first tooth, and it's when the new teeth start to push up out of the jaw again, that those teeth are lost. And then you can also see if there's been any damage in the milk teeth, and then you can see if the permanent teeth are whole, because very often, if there's damage in the milk teeth, it can be that the permanent teeth are affected. But if you were to be experiencing a situation like that, all is not lost. There are many effective ways to remineralize teeth, and I'm going to enjoy unpacking that with you very much. So when you receive your final set of teeth, which will include extra teeth at the back, and some of you may actually have wisdom teeth that erupted and grew out fully. Some of you that have, like me, they erupted partially and then were a risk because food just keeps getting caught in them. But this is all determined by the room that you have in your mouth. And this is determined by our diets in a large sense. We don't chew as much as our ancestors used to. We don't eat as much raw foods or as much whole grains as our ancestors used to. And that affects the arch development. And the less room there is there in the arch, the less room there is actually in the jawline to develop. Then very often we're going to have teeth that don't have room to grow into the places that they should be. And you might get braces, which is not ideal. It has its own issues. Pulling teeth has its own issues. And so we really want to get back to the foundations of how did God design this? How can we support it so that we can avoid all these interventions, which are not only slightly traumatic, it depends on the age, but which have risks as well as the benefits that they claim to have. So it really does take a bit of a mental shift to realize that we're not living like our ancestors used to. Our hygienic practices look very different. Our diets look very different. And that affects the way we eat. That affects the way our teeth respond to their environment. And it affects our general health, because if your teeth aren't healthy, unfortunately, the rest of you can't be healthy. So yeah, that's the big passion behind this, is to get all of us healthy. And a lot of that starts with the teeth. So the anatomy, I don't know if that's all digitally. I hope you don't mind my homeschooling. So the anatomy of the tooth is very different from that of a bone. Very often teeth are referred to as exposed bone, and you can see here it's not exactly the same. Yes, both of them are comprised of mineral. The whole hard parts are comprised of a different composition of minerals, but bone and tooth are very different in the sense that bone is, like you can see here at the bottom, it sort of looks like it's spongy. I don't know how good my camera is at the front, but here is a piece of bone we picked up on the beach. And it sort of looks like it has air bubbles in it, where the tooth is actually very solid, except for the pulp area where the circulation and the nerves would be. So out here is the enamel. The enamel doesn't actually go all the way into the tooth area. Here is a different kind of protective layer that is called the cementum. As far as I understand, it helps to hold the tooth in its place, as well as with the ligaments. They are sort of like, if you would think of a tent, then the tent has these ropes that you anchor it into the ground. So the ligaments of the tooth anchor it into the jaw, and that comes loose when you are going to replace a tooth, and that is the part that needs to be removed if you were going to remove a tooth. Otherwise, this jaw will not fill up that cavity. Then the other part is the dentin, which the nerves are actually already present in this area. So that is why when you start developing a hole in the enamel, you will start to have dental sensitivity, or even if your enamel is just a bit thin, it can also cause sensitivity to hot and cold foods. And the way they do a root canal is they basically open up all of this and then they remove this pulp area. They remove all the nerves, they remove all the blood supply, and they basically leave a dead tooth in a living jaw. And the dead tooth cannot be cleaned well enough for there to not be infection there. And that can then influence the jaw, and it can cause a further infection. So yeah, the bone is very different. It's comprised of the minerals in its form, and it usually has bone marrow in it. Lots of lifeblood flowing through it, carrying things away and adding building blocks to it. And the tooth has the special enamel around it, which makes it functional in the mouth, and also can be replaced. If you are to catch it early enough, you're able to remineralize. So I hope that gives everyone a little bit of a more positive outlook to that. The dentistry does not claim that the enamel can be remineralized, but I've seen it firsthand, and the testimonies I have listened to, the podcasts I've listened to, the blogs I have read, and the studies I have found all say that we can remineralize. We just have to basically go back to the ancient roots, which we have lost. And I think a lot of it has been hidden from us because dentistry makes money. So unfortunately, it steals from us. But this is our opportunity to be able to claim back what the enemy has stolen and be able to live in a bit more freedom. I don't know about you, but tooth pain is one of the most distracting things I've ever experienced. And it would really be great if we were able to just move away from that and not to have to experience that, or have our children experience that either. So yeah, I just wanted to show you a last tooth before I open up for questions again. This was actually one of my wisdom teeth. Okay, so you can see the roots are actually quite intricate. They're not as pretty as the 2D image I showed you. And there's always a risk with pulling these big teeth because your trigeminal nerve runs alongside the bottom. And perhaps some of you have had experience with that nerve and dental stuff. But here you will be able to see there is a definite difference between the enamel and the cementum here at the bottom. And yeah, that's just something I learned this week that I wanted to share with you. Okay, floor is open for anyone else. I'm just grabbing my cable while you're quickly getting the questions, if there are.
Okay, no problem. Does anyone have any questions at this point? All good. Yeah, I'll just share another picture while Renee is grabbing her cable. You're back. I just wanted to share, I did happen to find about the baby tooth. And so it says compared to an adult tooth that it has thinner enamel. It seems that it has a lot of differences in the makeup of the teeth. So yeah, I just wanted to put that on the screen. If there is anyone who wanted to do some research, it is available.
Yeah, that's a good image.
Okay. And then what I wanted to mention as we looked at the picture of the tooth's anatomy is the blood vessels going to the teeth as well. And that makes it a living organ in your body. And so
Yes.
it has blood coming into it. It has restoration coming through it the whole time because our blood comes to deliver oxygen to it. It takes away the dioxide, carbon dioxide. It brings healing. So there's a lot that happens in that, and that makes it a living organ in our body.
Thanks, Michelle. No, that's very important to know. Um, in Western medicine, the doctors, even strong believers who recognize Abba's design, seem to be blinded to the fact that we are, in effect, leaving dead organs in our mouths. And that is sad because you may not have any issues with the actual tooth, but have issues further in the body. I would recommend, if you are firmly led to do so, to watch the Root Cause documentary. It is available on a platform called Rumble. And if you are able to put on a VPN, it is available on YouTube in America. But just know, I did just mention last week, it is a worldly documentary, in the sense that the producer who experienced the issues with the root canal, he is someone who has a worldly viewpoint and didn't have any shame in showing extra skin. I do have issue with a lot of women in bikinis and so forth. So if that's something you would like to watch, because the experts speaking on that and the life-giving information is that, it is so valuable. I watched it 5 times already. So it's really very valuable. But if you would like to watch it and you would like to skip the worldly content, well, most of it, the worst of it, then you can just skip to 9 minutes after the first doctor has discussed his experience in the beginning. So I will add in a link to the group for that. And this is life-giving information. I think we can reclaim our health, and we needn't be fearful if we cannot, for instance, afford a biological dentist. If you are in South Africa, and you've perhaps spoken to biological dentist offices before, you know that they're incredibly expensive, and they are few and far between. I think we have 3 dentists, of which there are only 2 practices, and it may not be possible for you to reach either one of them. But I believe that the Lord is opening up possibilities for us to be in good health and to combat the effects of the dental situations that we might be experiencing that cause ill health. And yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to be unpacking a bit more next week. Okay, so Michelle, I've pretty much shared everything that I felt led to share today. It blessed my heart to be able to do some preparation this week. And I'm very grateful to everyone in this community. I think everyone has a piece of the puzzle to bring to the table. And bit by bit, we'll be restoring our physical bodies alongside the soul and the spirit, so that we can become a whole bride. I had a vision a couple of years back of this bride in this pure white dress standing in this beautiful lush green garden, and she's glowing, but she's bleeding. She is so broken and battered, and she doesn't know it. And in that regard, it's essential that we fellowship and we are able to support each other in the body with that which the Lord has imparted to each one of us and revealed to each one of us. And always test everything you hear. Make sure that it aligns with Abba's heart. Make sure that it aligns firstly with the word, and then try it out. See if this is the route that you're supposed to follow, because each of us are very unique in our design. I only hope to be able to share some of the foundational elements that he has revealed. So yeah, thanks for being part of that.
Thank you, Renee. I did share the root cause documentary from YouTube. I was just searching for it on Rumble, but I couldn't find it.
Thank you.
But Renee will send me the link and I'll be able to insert it at the bottom of the recording on YouTube. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, Renee, and sharing with us. This was very informational. And I think it helps when we understand the structures of things a little bit better. Once we have the understanding, we can have conviction and make a change. And we also, with taking this tour through your testimony, we have direction too of what to do when something is wrong. So that is what we hope to get out of it too, is to say, this is what you've been through, and you went through different things before finding the right path, right? So now these are things that you can eliminate from that journey if you want to, and just head straight to the place where there's restoration, if you want to. But thank you so much for sharing that with us, and yeah, for all the information that you have gathered together for us. And yeah, may this be a blessing to everyone, and may it actually bring revelation in areas where maybe you didn't know something, and you gain that understanding and the wisdom around it. So yeah, may this information bless you and bless your body. Yeah, I think I'll end it off there. So shalom to everyone. May you have a good rest of your day. Yeah, and heading into Shabbat, have a wonderful Shabbat this weekend.